Listen to me, I'm talking. I'm assuming you graduated from high school, right?
8th grade.
You went through 8th grade.
If there's evidence provided against me, I have a right to defend myself using that very same.
That wasn't the question I asked you.
That's
you do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Raymer. I'm just
my right for violence.
I'm talking, you're not. If you don't stop talking and listen to me so I can go through my speech, I will send you over to the jail.
You're the one that signed the warrant for my arrest while I was in jail.
I don't know that. I don't remember.
Yes, you did do that.
Okay, I'm allowed to do that.
No, you violated my rights.
Okay.
I'm not going to take any of the attorneys from here because they're all corrupt.
All right, guys, get ready for this one. We've got a sovereign citizen facing 4 years in prison who thought, you know what, I'll just represent myself. Bold move, right? The real entertainment kicks in when the judge figures out this guy only made it through the 8th grade, yet still believes he's got the legal prowess to go toe-to-toe with her. At that moment, it's like watching someone bring a pool noodle to a sword fight. Now, I already know someone in the comments is going to say the judge was too harsh for cutting him off mid-sentence. But let's be real. Judges aren't obligated to entertain Facebook law theories. They're there to uphold actual laws, not internet fantasies. So buckle up as we watch this sovereign citizen get absolutely dismantled by a judge who isn't having any of it. Trust me, you won't want.
Is a date and time set for a final pretrial conference. Today was the motion deadline for both motions and motion in limines to be heard. Jury instructions were to be provided to the court by April 2nd, along with any proposed voir dire questions. We are set for trial on April 22nd of 2025. Mr. Raymer, you are charged with police officer resisting and obstructing causing injury, which carries a maximum penalty of up to 4 years in prison. Police officer assaulting, resisting, and obstructing, that carries up to 2 years in prison. There's 2 of those. And then there's a disorderly. And what is the plea offer in this file?
Your Honor, the people have offered to a plea of 2 counts to attempted R&O.
All right.
So 2 misdemeanors, and we would kill a brute to no upfront jail.
All right. Mr. Raymer, the plea offer in this case was to plead to 2 one-year misdemeanors with no upfront jail. And there'd be like 12 months or so of probation and some minimal fines and costs. Do you understand that? All right. Now, Mr. Raymer, you know, I'm assuming you graduated from high school, right?
8th grade.
You went through 8th grade, and this is a felony that could result in you going to prison. Why don't you stand in front of that podium for me? So do you understand an attorney can help guide you through the legal process?
Yes, I tried to have, I almost had a public defender. Unfortunately, she wasn't representing me appropriately. I'd asked for another one, but.
So I have no authority over who gets appointed. You're appointed an attorney.
I understand that, but when they're not representing you appropriately.
Okay, I didn't ask that. I'm just saying you have a right to an attorney. I know the attorney you're referring to. She's diligent. She works hard. Maybe you didn't like, I know when I was a public defender, sometimes my clients didn't like what listen to me, I'm talking. My clients didn't like the things that I told them. But, you know, her job isn't to do what you want. Her job is to represent the law. So you understand at this point, you can hire an attorney, or you can go with the public defender and whoever they assign you, or you can go to trial pro per with no law degree, no experience, and risk going to prison. You're going to represent yourself.
I'm gonna represent I ain't got no choice but to represent.
Have you provided your jury question, the voir dire questions? Because if you haven't, they're waived.
If there's
no, they were due.
If there's evidence provided against me, I have a right to defend myself using that very same.
That wasn't the question I asked you.
You
do have a right to defend yourself, Mr. Raymer. I'm just
my right for violence.
I'm talking. You're not. If you don't stop talking and listen to me, so I can go.
This guy barely made it past the 8th grade, and somehow believes he's qualified to go head-to-head with a judge. Like my guy, this isn't a TikTok debate. It's an actual courtroom. He fired his lawyer like it was a bad Uber driver and strutted. With some legal strategy, he probably picked up off Reddit. I remember a buddy of mine tried defending himself in court over a speeding ticket. He thought he could outsmart the judge with some loophole he saw on YouTube. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. He ended up paying double and got his license suspended. These sovereign citizens honestly act like saying, "I don't consent," makes them invisible to the law. Newsflash. If you keep interrupting a judge, you're risking a contempt charge and probably blowing any chance at a fair deal. Just like this guy.
Provided those. We gave you a copy of this. So do you understand what I've received is what will be used? Yes or no?
I will be allowed to ask my questions.
What question?
When I'm cross-examining, I will get my,
I'm talking about juror question. I'm talking about jury instructions and voir dire questions. You understand now? You
I don't
didn't
have-
follow, listen, I know, but you waived that because you have not provided them. Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
no, I don't. I don't
Okay.
understand that. I didn't understand that.
Okay, well, I
That's why
can't
I'm-
advise you of the law because I'm not an attorney, I'm a judge.
No, but you,
So-
you're looking at the case and you've been presiding over my case for 3 years now.
I know, it's fine.
the
You're
one-
gonna go to
You're the one
trial.
that signed the warrant for my arrest while I was in jail.
I don't know that. I don't
Yes,
remember.
you did do that.
Okay, I'm allowed to do that.
No, you violated my rights. of
Okay,
privacy.
well, you have options. You can file a complaint with the JTC if you'd like. So are you prepared to go to trial?
Absolutely.
Have you provided your witness list?
I haven't yet, but I will.
Okay, that was due.
My witness list was provided when, Ms. Underwood was my attorney,
Okay,
and my witness list is.
have you subpoenaed any witnesses that were not on the prosecutor's raised just eyewitness list?
Yes, my witnesses are the ones that was there at the scene.
No,
And,
do
yeah,
you understand that you have to provide a witness list and you have to provide a copy to the prosecutor? Do you understand that?
prosecutor, I gotta provide what to him?
So if you're gonna have witnesses at trial, you need to make sure the prosecutor has their name and contact information so that they could interview them prior to trial if they wanted. Do you understand
Well,
that?
they got all that information.
They do?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
my witnesses are my parents and my aunt.
okay, I don't know. Are those on, if they're not on the people's witness?
Curtis, Penny,
Okay,
and Rose.
if you haven't provided a witness list and they're not on the people's list, you understand you won't be able to call them.
Okay, I will provide the information. I
Okay.
can provide that information.
I,
Yeah,
I'm just telling you. So you need to make sure that there's a witness list in the file that was provided to the people.
so I gotta re-provide it.
I don't know. Go back and look at what
I'll
witness
just-
list
I'll
has
just
been
do that
filed, their name, their contact information. And then, any subpoenas you have to do, if you have to subpoena anybody to be present, you need to get those filed this week. And then the court signs them and then you serve those people with those.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Now, do you understand when we go to trial, a lot of times some of the questions you ask or he asks may be objected to, and it's not personal, it's just, we have to follow the law.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm allowed to object too, though, right?
huh?
I'm allowed to object too.
You are, and then you have to provide the basis for that objection.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to understand your objections. So you might want to do some research to understand.
I've been doing.
Good, good. You sure you don't want a public defender for trial?
Huh?
You sure you don't want an attorney for trial?
I'm not gonna take.
So this genius thinks all public defenders are corrupt. Mind you, this is the same guy who barely made it past 8th grade, but now wants his mom, dad, and aunt to testify like it's some kind of courtroom family talent show. Like seriously, what are they even going to say? Yes, Your Honor, he's always been this delusional. At this point, I'm just thinking, let him go to prison. The judge warned him multiple times, gave him every chance to get it together, and he still blew it, like he was speedrunning his own conviction. But hey, let me know in the comments if you think the judge handled it right, because up next, we've got another sovereign citizen who refuses to pay rent and learns real quick that the law isn't optional. Let's jump right.
All right, the court will call the case of the Ranches of Rosebrook versus A Nice Battle, case number 25C-1245.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Fantair on behalf of the plaintiff.
Ms. Battle, please hit *6, unmute your device. And state-
Hello? Hello?
Please state.
It's Denise Battle on a special appearance for the record to contest the jurisdiction and the facts for this court.
Yep. All right. Well, Ms. Battle, I'll tell you that this matter is appropriately in the correct court. The court does have jurisdiction. We'll be
And
proceeding.
it's based on what? What is on the record that is based on that the court has jurisdiction?
The fact that this is a case that is within the jurisdiction of the Township of Ypsilanti, and if you have issues related to any contracts, that would be within this jurisdiction as well. So all of that is within the jurisdiction of this court.
So you're saying that the contract is in jurisdiction of the court?
That is what I just said, ma'am.
All right, and the contract has been rescinded. So how is the contract in the jurisdiction of the court if it's invalid?
school gets to rescind a contract on their own. That's
What are you talking about? I have the right to
I'm
rescind a
not gonna
contract
argue with you,
by
Ms.
right of common law.
Ms.
That
Battle.
doesn't involve court.
Ma'am, you need to stop talking or you're gonna get held in contempt of court. Mr. Fantier, have you had a chance to talk to Ms. Battle? Or talk to Ms.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Mr. Fantera, do you need to speak with her or are we ready to?
If you want me to speak to her, I'll speak to her. You know, I mean, she talks about rescinding the contract. Does that mean she's moving out?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Are you moving out?
Are you moving out?
No. Why would I have to move out?
Because if you rescind a contract, okay, fine. Your Honor, I think let's set this for trial.
Okay. One moment.
This case has also been in the it's in the circuit court. A petition filed for an injunction. I did serve you all. It is set on the 30th.
Yes, ma'am, I heard.
We're aware.
Okay. And once again, I do not submit to the jurisdiction of the court. The contract is rescinded.
So how can the contract?
Because he looked like he just lost 3 brain cells hearing that. And honestly, same here. I seriously don't know how judges sit through this kind of nonsense without losing their minds. If it were me, I'd be banging that gavel out of pure frustration. I've heard some wild excuses in my time, but this one might actually take the crown. What blows my mind is how they genuinely think this stuff works. I remember trying to get out of a gym contract once, and even that was way more complicated than whatever nonsense she was trying to pull. Let me be real. Do you guys think these sovereign citizens actually believe their own crazy arguments, or are they just trolling the system? Honestly, I think it's a bit of both. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious what you all think about this bizarre courtroom.
Legal entity. No, I am not. And you have to prove that on the record.
Stop talking.
Actually, I don't.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask Ms. Battle a question, Your Honor, real quick?
Sure.
So, Ms. Battle, so you can live there forever without paying rent because you're not a legal person?
That's not what I'm saying, but the contract itself is invalid. I'm saying that you don't have any personal or subject matter jurisdiction over me. Over an invalid contract, no. And over me not having a legal capacity to be sued, yes. So if that's how you want to take it, then that's how you have to take it. But that's what's lawful, and that's what's written in the law.
Let me just tell you, I think you're wrong on both counts. I would expect that we would.
It's okay for you to think that I'm wrong, but the facts still align with what I'm saying.
Okay, Your Honor, I think we should have a trial.
You have to prove without the reasonable doubt. So let the record show that the judge has not required the plaintiff to prove without a reasonable doubt that I am a legal person, and it's on the record, not assumed, not presumed, on the record. There's nothing that's on the record that states.
Ms. Battle, first of all, reasonable doubt is a standard in a criminal case, not a civil case. So I do not have to prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt.
Sarah, I need both of you to stop talking, please. Both of you, I'm sorry. I cannot figure out the date because I can't hear over the two of you.
I apologize. I didn't know that's what you were doing, Your Honor.
This matter will be scheduled for May 6th at 3 p.m. for a trial on any and all issues that may be before the court. Ms. Battle, if you have anything else that you need to say, you can unmute yourself by hitting *6 to do that.
Okay, I just find it ironic.
Can't get over the entitlement here. Maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't sign a lease if you're not planning on paying rent. The logic isn't even in the same room. It's out wandering in a cornfield somewhere. And to top it all off, you can literally hear her kids in the background during the court hearing, which honestly made me feel bad. Imagine growing up hearing your mom argue in court that rent is fake and laws don't apply to her. Those poor kids are either going to grow up thinking they're above the law or be totally confused when the real world doesn't play along. I can just picture one of them telling a teacher, "I don't consent to homework," and wondering why they're failing class. At that point, it's not even funny anymore. It's just sad. What do you guys think? Should sovereign citizens raising kids like this be considered neglect? Or is that going too far? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.